Welcome back to California State University Bakersfield's 2021 Graduate Studies Summit. My name is Deborah Jackson, and I'm pleased to introduce Ms. Katrina Gilmore, Director of CSUB's Center for Career Education and Community Engagement. Ms. Gilmore earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Sociology and a Master of Science degree in Educational Counseling at CSU Bakersfield. Welcome, Katrina. Please turn on your camera and say hello.
Hello. Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Jackson. So today we will be focusing in on finding the right program, graduate program for you. So I'll be going through some steps to make sure that you are prepared for what you're getting into, you're researching the information that's going to be most vital for you picking the right program. So the first thing you want to look at is your passions and motivation. What is the reason, or what do you hope to achieve by receiving your graduate degree? So some people want to get specialized knowledge in a field, some want to earn a promotion, increase the salary potential, but you want to make sure that the reason and the passion, or know your motivation for why you're wanting to get into a graduate degree program. So I'll be going through some steps to help you with that. So you want to look at your goals and expectations. So what do you want your life to look like in the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? When do you want to maybe advance in a job? Are you currently working in the field that you want to get your graduate degree in? Are you wanting to complete some prereqs before getting into a master's degree? So you want to look at the timeline that you're looking at. Also, what are the things that you value? You want to make sure that you know that the graduate experience is going to take some adjustment. You will, if you're currently working, there may be work hours that you need to arrange to do field work. If you plan to go into a graduate degree that has a field work option, what are some of the sacrifices you may need to make in your personal life, your family life, to make sure that graduate school is going to be a positive experience for you. Also, you want to look at how you learn, because there are some graduate programs based on maybe all virtual, or maybe there's a hybrid between a virtual space and an in-person setting. And I know we've all gotten used to doing a lot of virtual spaces at this university during COVID. But as the world is starting to open up back up, you may have sessions that are hybrid or in person. And if you know that you learn better in an in-person environment, that could be something you may want to look into based on what programs you're going into, to see how their particular program is run. So one of the things you also want to do before you pick a graduate program, you want to research what type of degree programs or areas of study are going to be linked to the career path that you're wanting to take. So one of those things would be, we use an occupational outlook handbook in our particular office. And this is something that is a database that is put out by the Department of Federal Labor. And this is a handbook to give you some highlights on the different career paths you may take. So it's going to give you information about what the expected educational requirements will be for that particular career path, potential earnings, also what does the growth of the position look like in the next 5 to 10 years. So I did want to show you quickly what that would look like. Oh, oops. So if you were to look at the Occupational Outlook Handbook, you can put your actual occupation that you're interested in looking into the field here. So if you go and type in a particular actual career area, it's going to give you different light careers. So you'll see things like, I put counselor as my general search option. You can go into, you'll see substance abuse counseling, you'll see school and career counseling and advisors, psychologists, marriage and family therapists. And if you were just to click on a particular link there based on what occupation you want to look at, it's going to give you information about, what the standard pay would be, typical entry-level position for that particular area. You'll see also what type of work they do. So what are some of the duties that are part of this particular occupation? You'll look at how to become one. So this is where you can get information about, okay, what is the expected time of education or schooling that I'll need to get into this particular field. You'll see pay, and it's kind of broken down most likely on nationwide pay. There are sections where you can go in and look at particularly what it would be in the state that you're looking to live in. Job outlook is going to be important because you can see if this is a growing field or if this is something that's maybe tapering off. So this is one of the good areas that you can look through just to make sure that as doing your research for going into a graduate program, does this particular program require a professional degree, a graduate degree, or beyond? And you can make some of your decisions based on that. This is another tool to get some information on career goals and objectives. This is also put out by the Department of Labor, federal labor, and it's a career exploration tool. If you are currently in a bachelor's program, or just maybe in between, maybe you finish your bachelor's program and still don't necessarily know what you want to do for your career, this is an O-Net interest profiler assessment. Very easy to get through. There's a series of questions that it asks you about a variety of work tasks. And you go through and you pick which ones you would like to do in the future, or things you're currently doing, or maybe things you don't necessarily like. Towards the end of that, it's going to give you a list of occupations based on your answers. It's going to see if any of those work with you. You're able to then click on those occupations and then explore, very, very similar to that occupational outlook handbook, the general pay for those positions, what is the necessary education requirement to get into those roles. It also gives you things about the skills that you'll need to get into those particular fields. So these are these career exploration tools, especially going towards a master's degree, which is going to be much more, it's going to be your career-based degree. Your bachelor's program is a foundational degree. Master's and above, these are things where you're going to be doing full-blown career-based learning. Applied experiences are going to be towards your career. So it'd be good to know what your career goals are before you get into a graduate program. So this is another way that you can look at what's available. So as far as graduate programs, we do have the different types of degrees. So if you're looking to do a professional program, these are applied programs. So these are programs tied to a specific career. So you'll see things like medical school, law school, people that get into a social work program, a master's of business administration, school counseling. My degree was in educational counseling with student affair emphasis. So these are professional programs that go directly into a career-based field. Then you'll have academic programs that are more theoretical based. These are people usually possibly going into a doctorate, going into things that are much more research based. And so you also want to know, based on your career options and career goals, you want to see what program is going to be better for you, a professional program or something that's more academic program where you maybe going on to get like a PhD, possibly be a faculty member, university and beyond, or go into direct research. So when you're looking at your programs of study, you definitely want to, if research is one of the big things that you're looking for in getting into a program, you may want to look at the research opportunities at the institution that you're going in for. What type of opportunities will there be for you to get published if that's one of your goals? You want to look at how the actual program is going to be delivered to you. Like I was saying earlier, will it be an online program? Is it hybrid? Are you working with a cohort? Are you working more on campus, off campus? So you want to look at the makeup and delivery format of that particular program. Also admission. So many graduate programs have prerequisites courses that you'll need to have either taken or take within the first maybe 1 to 2 semesters and before you are actually full-blown admitted. So there are conditional admissions where you have to finish a class within the first semester, the first 2 semesters. So look to see if there are prerequisites in that program that you may have already taken with your bachelor's program, but there may be some courses that are outside of that you may have to take before you can apply. So that's something to look into. Depending on the discipline that you are wanting to go into, you could look at accreditation. There are specific accreditations based on what type of program that you go into. So if you're looking for particular programs, look at regional accreditation, maybe it's discipline specific, to see if that's something that would match with the type of industry that you're going in. Also, if you do better in maybe smaller classrooms, or if you're okay with being in a large classroom setting, you can also look at cohort size. And I'll show you some of the sites where you'll be able to see some of that information. Campus experience is going to be something to think about as well. So you can think about what's the culture like on campus. You want to, if possible, I know that may be tough during COVID. I know lots of places are starting to open up. Maybe doing a campus tour if you can, just to see if the way the school is set up is something that you're comfortable with, that you feel like you're safe, or you feel like it's going to be a challenge for you. Look at those things before you maybe pick a few places to visit, just to see which of those organizations are going to fit you the most. You could also look at outcomes. So many of your organizations, many of your universities have institutional research and planning places. So it shows data on where students are going after they graduate, what type of industries are they in, what's their employment rate. So you can look at, many of those organizations can give you some information about the alumni, what type of employment, or where they're the most successful after they left a university. So in that case, you can reach out to the organizations, the universities, and see what are some things that are available to show me where the graduates in this program went after. Did they go right into a profession or a career, or did they continue on to maybe another professional program? So looking at track record can be important. Living and learning. So, what is your housing situation going to look like? If you're planning to stay in the area that you're currently in, you'll most likely probably stay at home. But if you're wanting to leave the area, what are the resources for you as a student if you're living off campus or on campus? What are the costs associated with that? Very important. I know that later today, there's going to be a funding graduate school session. What would my living environment income look like? So that would be something that you would want to look into. Support services. So looking at, if there's career counseling, personal counseling, what type of academic advising environment is there? Health services. So looking at how effective those support services would be helpful as well. And then also the community. So I think just as you moving into a new home or moving into a new neighborhood, you investigate what the community looks like. And so you'd want to do the same thing with a graduate program. You want to know that the area that you're living in is something that you can work with, that you'll feel comfortable in. You want to look at maybe the employment, rate around the area. What does the housing look like? If you are bringing small children or children that are at school level, what districts would they be able to live in as well? So these are also some things you want to look for and research before you pick a graduate program. Also, this is campus experience continued. So professional development engagement. So going even on a website for the university that you're interested in and seeing what kind of events that they have wrapped around the graduate programs in their particular university could be helpful. You could see if their career services area is very active and they're giving you opportunities to network with professionals in the field you're interested in going into. Looking at their alumni network would be very helpful. Also looking at what type of the graduate student centers, including this one here, what type of workshops are they offering to make sure that you're going to be the best student you could be while you're in a graduate program. Connection to industry and alumni. So really having an engaged alumni office, very similar to here to CSUB, could be very helpful. That's going to be people that you could connect with for networking opportunities in both a professional setting and an academic setting. So looking at that information, being able to explore the websites to see how active they are will be useful. Okay, so here are some directories that I'm going to go through with you, but using grad school search directories will be really an important start of your search for this particular area. One of the big ones that we use is the Peterson's Graduate Guide, which is a national look at all graduate programs across the country. Gives information about, how many people are in a cohort, what's the acceptance rate for the application process. It shows what are some of the tests or pre-entry level tests that are required to get into a program. So I'll go into that in a little bit. We also have looking at some of your individual colleges and universities. So I did have a list of we have a CSUB Graduate Student Center, which is the co-host for this particular event. Having access to what type of programming they offer here is important. For people that are wanting to, stay in the CSU, there is a search engine specifically for CSU, all the CSU campuses, and as well as a UC one. So I'm going to switch over to my browser so I can show you each of these particular links here. So for Peterson's guide, this is where you can actually add in an actual major. So I'm just going to put in, I'll say history, for example. If you go down this list here, you can choose location. So you can, if you want to stay in California, you can add that in there. You can look at tuition rates, school size, setting. You can pick your settings there. I'm just going to randomly put in, let me just put in, let's say New York. So if I was to click on this particular program here, let me do this, Department of History of Binghamton University. I'll just pick here. So what you'll see, so in this example, you'll see that there's 68 students in that particular program right now. That's that cohort size. Then you'll go down, it gives you an overview of the campus, what particular programs there are available. You'll see how many degrees are awarded. It gives you, type of programs that they have. So it looks like they have part-time study available. It gives you the requirements for the particular program. So you'll see that they require the GRE, comp exam, and there's also a thesis. And then you'll see acceptance rate. So if you're looking to, you see that 60 applied and they let 39 in. So it's a 65% acceptance rate. You'll see like the cost for fees for applying for the particular program, application dates. They give you the different exams here. And towards the bottom, they give you some of the things that they offer as far as support, which if you're looking for funding, you see fellowships, tuition waivers, related internships, which can be helpful for funding your program. Then they give you information on the student body. So the gender, you have your race and ethnicity over here to the side on who's in the program. There's information on the demographics of the faculty. And then they usually give you a contact for that particular program. So Peterson's Guide is a good way to start researching the things that you want to get into. So that's something that's available to you. Additionally, so the CSUB Graduate Student Center here, so if you were looking to see what type of resources and services you have, you'll be able to see that as part of the website that I know our production team is putting that in the chat. You'll be able to see upcoming workshops. You'll be able to even talk to them about the services they provide for graduate students with their center. This is something I would definitely research, and they can also give you more information about the academic programs that are here at CSUB. So you could be aware of what's coming on this campus, how to apply for those different programs. So very helpful to reach out to if you plan to get your graduate degree here at CSUB, to reach out to our Graduate Student Center. We also have the search degrees at CSU. So in this case, if you are looking to just stay within the CSU system, you can definitely go ahead and put in, I'll put in sociology. That was my undergrad. And let's say you just wanted to do an online program. Let's say you're a working professional, you kind of only have time to do something online. You can do that as a filter. You can then go into your campuses here to see what campus you're most interested in. So I'll just hit Northridge here just to see what they have. So then you can see, you can actually under filter break out what you're wanting to do as far as your degree type. You can also do the format. It looks like their format is fully face-to-face, so they're working in person. But this is a good way to look at the different options. If you click on the link, it's going to actually take you directly into the actual program of study for that campus. So it's a good way to get in and look at the description, what's the admission requirements. That will be very helpful for research. The UC system has a very similar system. You can put in area of interest. I think I just have biological sciences there. You can pick which campus you're interested in. Click here. Hit search. And you'll be able to go in and see, in this particular case, bio, what kind of programs there are at the different UCs, and then what kind of degrees are offered. It has information if these go directly into a PhD program. So it's a pretty helpful area. If you were to click on the area that you're looking for, it's going to still load you into the exact program where you want to get more information about that. Another external way to look at rankings and lists of where you can look at the graduate schools is that you have the US News and World Report rankings. So this is where if you wanted to go to schools based on a ranking number, you know, best for affordability, best for a particular research, or best for a particular business program, you can look into that particular program through this link here. And also, so the surrounding community, as I was saying, another way is to kind of look to see, research the area where you're wanting to go to college to see if that's going to fit your needs. So it's very important that you are aware of those surroundings. It's best to see how much rent is going to cost, how much transportation is going to cost to get to those, to locate and go to your internships, to go to your field work experiences, to maybe get to a work setting or to class. Also, so as you're filling out your applications, doing your personal statement, you want to look at faculty. So sometimes as you're looking at programs, you may want to, if your research is a focus for you, or you have a topic that you want to explore further, looking at your faculty and what their research background was, what was some of their maybe work background would be, can be helpful in choosing whether or not you want to go to a specific program. So if you look at some of the potential professors, many of your academic programs, if you decide to click on the school link, will give you faculty information. It'll tell the background of the faculty, where they did their education, what research that they've worked on and have some expertise in. So you can actually look at, you know, possibly collaborating with some of those faculty members to see if they're going to be a good match for you in the growth of in your program as well. So you can find faculty information on the university academic department web pages. Even on the Peterson's Guide, you'll be able to go through and see, sometimes they'll actually put faculty members' information in their area of expertise in research. That could be something that you could mention as part of your personal statement about, you know, why are you interested in this particular program? What are some of the experiences that you hope to have if you come here to this institution? You can mention, you know, some of the faculty research that you've seen and why you could be interested in that particular program. Okay, final tips. We want to make sure that you stay organized. You know, if you have a list of places you're looking at, maybe do an Excel sheet where you can organize schools and then maybe prioritize based on the research that you find. Be sure to ask questions. Many of the areas that we went to, the graduation search sites where it's telling you about the coordinator, gives you the coordinator information, contact information. Those are program coordinators. So they are there to answer your questions before you start applying for particular programs. So be sure to ask the program coordinators questions about maybe the curriculum, the areas of funding, or how you plan to fund your degree. What are some of the opportunities that are available in that particular session? Manage your time wisely. You want to start early. If you know when the application deadlines are, start asking for those references early. If you kind of know exactly who you need to ask for references, that's the time you want to start thinking about, who do I need to ask for and what are the requirements for this particular program? Do they need to mail in a letter? Do they need to fill out a rating form? So give some time, start early. You should begin 10 to 15 months prior to the desired term of entry. I know sometimes that is impossible, but if you can, try to start a little bit early to get as much research done as possible. One of the things that are coming up through our office, through the Career Education and Community Engagement Office, is our graduate program exploration event. So we're having a virtual graduate and professional school fair. That's going to be Thursday, November 4th, 1 to 3 p.m. And I am actually going to show you in Handshake where to have access to that. So far, we have 49 organizations, including CSUB programs, that are promoting their graduate school events. Okay, so in order to get into Handshake, Handshake is csub.joinhandshake.com. You'll be able to go into, go from the beginning here. You go, this is your homepage. You want to go into events. Then you want to go into career fair, and you'll see this virtual graduate and professional school fair. So what you're doing is you'll hit register. And at this time, even though it says employer, Handshake is kind of employer-based site. These are actually colleges. These are campuses. So you can view the employer sessions, and at that time you can pick who you want to speak to further. So there's 49 organizations that are here, and they're different areas of study, different professional programs, graduate programs. You'll be able to click on whether you want to do, most of the people are doing group sessions, and it's going to have you virtually come on camera to work with, just get some more information from the recruiters. Great event to start exploring. If you're wanting to go into grad school, what are some of your options out there? So like I said, we have a mixture of both CSUB programs, but we also have tons of other campuses that will be participating as well. So I would definitely take the time to go through this particular section just to see if you're interested in any of these particular areas. So this is my contact information. So if you have any questions about, first of all, just the journey of going into graduate school, researching the programs that you want to go into, maybe having someone to bounce those ideas off of, please log into Handshake to make an appointment with a career counselor. You can also email us at career@csub.edu, and we'll be able to help you through that process as well.
Ms. Gilmore, this is Deborah Jackson. I wonder if you could share with us a bit about your experience in graduate school at CSUB.
Okay.
We had a fantastic panel of alumni, but you also are an alum of CSUB's graduate programs.
Yes.
And maybe you could share with us, especially given all that you know about graduate education, why you chose CSUB.
Oh, thank you. So I did my undergrad as sociology, and I think I was not as focused as a sociology major. I loved coming to school. I loved education, but I don't think I ever applied it to an actual career. So I actually took a long break. I took a 8-year break between my bachelor's and my master's program. But while I was in that 8 years, I was working here on campus in different capacities. So I worked in reprographics. I worked in, procurement as a student assistant. I worked at different parts. I finally came over to student affairs in 2006. So part of being in student affairs, working with students directly, working in the Career Center. So I was, shadowing some of my, supervisors at the time on counseling. I decided to go back and get my master's degree in educational counseling and student affairs. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend taking an 8-year break between a bachelor's and a master's program, but definitely it did take some time for me to figure out, okay, this is what I want to do. And now I can apply it. I can go into a graduate program and work in the field that I've been working in, but just in an advanced role. My program I had a really cool cohort. I've made lifelong friends through that particular program. I still know lots of the faculty. I've been asked to come back and, teach a couple of classes. And so it felt like a family. And so that's one thing I really do appreciate about this particular campus, is that a lot of people work with you. It's much more collaborative than I've heard some other experiences, at other campuses, but I really do appreciate figuring out what I wanted to do before going into a graduate program. Now, I did technically start and stop 2 programs. I thought I wanted to go into, it was an MPA, these were not here, so I don't want to say anything about CSUB, an MPA program and also a humanities degree. For me, that humanities program I loved, but it was all online, and I'm much more of an in-person learner. And they didn't have a lot of communication. So I really enjoyed having a nice cohort and people that were very collaborative with me here at CSUB.
So it sounds like that 8-year break was in some ways helpful because it gave you a chance to really figure out where your passion was and what you wanted to pursue. And that really mirrors a lot of the comments that were made during the alumni panel.
Right.
I heard you just joke that perhaps you wouldn't recommend a long break. And so maybe you could share, why do you think that 8 years is long? What was challenging about taking an 8-year break for starting your graduate program?
I think once you're in school mode, you feel like you should probably stay in school mode because when I took that break, I was literally just going to work and then I'm off. But the fact that you now have to adjust that I was a full-time employee, then I was essentially a full-time student, adjusting to projects and homework and research and study groups. And, a lot of that on top of also being a full-time employee took a toll, but I was still able to get things done. But I feel like I had to shift into school mode, which was not as easy after taking that long of a break. So, I could see, going maybe out 2 years and trying to figure out, I don't want to put a time limit on it, but the 8-year break is a little long to try to readjust to being a student again. It does take a little bit of a toll.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Valerie, do we have any questions in the chat for Ms. Gilmore?
All right. Yes, we do. We have a question. Many students want to stay in California, which is great because we have great schools. What considerations should students give to going out of state for graduate school, in your opinion?
I know that there are different, that there's out-of-state fees that come with tuition when you leave the state. But you also you still want to be very familiar with the community that you're going into. I know California is like a different world. As I've been, traveled to different parts of the United States and outside the country, it's like a whole other planet compared to going maybe somewhere in the South or the Northeast. So knowing the culture where you're going is going to be helpful. I think you want to be prepared for some culture shock, but I mean, that's why visiting the area a lot, getting in contact with some of the students, faculty, and program coordinators that maybe work in those or living in that environment right now would be helpful to get an edge on living in that particular state before jumping from California to another area.
What kind of support exists for students who want to continue work alongside pursuing their graduate degree?
I know that there are some programs that offer like fellowships or graduate internships or graduate assistantships where they're trying to get the work done. I know now one thing, if you happen to work here on campus, there are fee waivers for people that are working here on campus and then going back for a master's program. So it may depend on what school you're looking to work for. You may have to, and it also depends on your supervisors too. I know that during the time that I went to graduate school, I did have permission from my supervisor there was time, I had leave time to do classes at the end of the day to make sure that I was in class on time. So you do want to make sure that if you're currently working and you're going back for a master's program, that you have some level of support from your employer or something where you can work with them to make sure that you're still getting your work done. And you're going to probably need some support of your coworkers if you work in a team setting like that to see what are some things that you can do for them to then help you get some support while you're doing your graduate program while working. So it takes a team of people to get things done. And if you're gone from that situation, you still want to be able to be supported. And so you want to look at your current work support if possible.
Here's another question about financing your education and checking with your employer to see if they may have an educational fund available.
Yes, so I know that there are different waivers for different types of employers and education. So There may be things at your particular organization where they're able to fund some of your education, depending on what program you're doing. It may be program specific. So always look into those. I know, like I said, for Cal State, they will, it's a pretty big waiver for, it's almost a full waiver for the actual master's program, but I don't know if that's completely for each program, so.
Thank you so much, Katrina. I'm impressed about all the resources that you can find out about the community. I mean, you're so rich what you presented to us. Really appreciate it. Huh?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. When I came to CSUB in the 90s, the average age of students was like 27. So many of them were returning students.
Right.
And I was always very impressed, how focused, when you take time out and you come back, and probably this was the same for you, right?
Right.
That you came and you knew what you wanted to do. So there are advantages to being a returning student. And
yes.
What is beautiful about our country is that it's never too late to come back to school, right? When I see someone who's 80 years old getting a bachelor's, like, my gosh, just like Dr. Jackson was saying earlier, like, man, went back, I mean, that to me, that's wonderful. What a beautiful gift, huh?
Yeah.
So definitely it's never too late,
That's true. So even if you need to take an 8 to 10 year break, you can still do it. Just an adjustment.
Will get you far, one class at a time,
Yes.
And years from now, it beats staying in the couch drinking beer, which is what I will do.
Very true.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Gilmore, for spending time with us this morning and sharing your expertise. I know that people can always reach out to Center for Career Education and Community Engagement to get additional resources or to follow up with questions that you have. Thank you so much.